Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Weigh In. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Brandon, and tonight I'm so excited to bring to you our discussion topic teaching during a pandemic. I hope that you are ready for a fun filled, exciting, in depth educational talk. I'm hoping that we will have many teachers, parents, and collegiate students. Can't do students unless the parent wants them to be on live, but and students to come aboard and discuss with us what their experience is like during the pandemic that has occurred from 2020 and continuing to occur during the year 2021. This has been a topic that has been in the making, and I've come fully prepared tonight to have this discussion. So I am excited to get started, and I'm just trying to let a few people get in. So while we're waiting, I'm tagging a couple of people to come be a part of the conversation. Sometimes they don't see it. So again, this is going to be streaming live from YouTube and Facebook. My biggest following is on Facebook. However, I am streaming to the YouTube as well, which is building my channel on YouTube, because eventually I would like to have these comments exclusively on YouTube. Okay. So we're going to just give a couple of minutes and then we're going to get started in our conversation. I hope y'all are ready for the conversation that we're going to have tonight. I don't know if I actually did that right. I'm sorry, y'all. Look, I'm trying to learn how to tag and do some stuff all at the same time. Let me see. All right. Oops. Just tagging a few of my educator friends so they can come and be a part of this great, grand conversation. So again, if you're here, don't be scared. Get ready to take part in this conversation. I'm just getting a few people here that I know that would love to be a part of this conversation and share their opinion. Hey, Ty, how are you? I think I tagged the wrong person. I'm sorry. Courtney Taylor, I'm sorry if you hear this. I tagged you. You were not my initial person I was trying to tag. I pushed the button too fast, so forgive me. Yes, thank you, Miss Washington. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're about to get into this conversation. We're about to get into it real quick. I'm just tagging a few people into the conversation so that look, I'm trying hard. My fingers are moving faster than my eyes are going. So I'm here. Hey, Miss Bailey, how are you? Look, you getting in here. Look, I'm just tagging a couple of people. Okay, I just tagged a few people, that's all. I just wanted to tag a few people that I know that will be passionate in the conversation that is being had. So that way when we get started, we can go ahead. So I'm about to go ahead and start us off into tonight's conversation. Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to make sure I'm not re-tagging people. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to move quickly. I am moving quickly. Hey, yes. Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening. Good evening. Yes. All right. Almost done. Hold on. Let me get this last one or two. All right. Here we go. And did I put? Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I hope y'all are ready. I'm excited. I'm ready. Look, I'm trying to make sure that the video is clear. So if you see me looking up or off, I'm gonna try to make sure this video is clear. But I'm excited for tonight's conversation and what we're gonna have. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our teaching during a pandemic conversation. I hope that y'all are ready to really dig deep tonight into this conversation and what we're going to be talking about and discussing. I hope that I'm coming clear and that you can hear me very well. And we're going to use technology at its best. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll go ahead and remove our banner and let's get into the conversation. So tonight, our goal is to have discussions from several different angles. We want to look at teaching during a pandemic as the overall title, of course, because we're all learning and teaching ourselves how to survive during a pandemic. That's the ultimate thing that's happening. So we're definitely learning how to become. So whether you're an actual educator or a student or a parent or any of those things, you're actually teaching yourself how to survive during a pandemic. But we're looking at the educational aspects in tonight's conversation. And so don't get me wrong, we can add all other aspects in there. But as we have this discussion tonight, we're going to look at the educational standpoint. So what I want to do first to get our conversation going and to kind of make us reflect and think is start off with a visual representation of what it is to be learning during a pandemic. All right. And then we're going to definitely open up the conversation to be had. So if you are wanting to join tonight's panel, when I open it up, definitely know that the chat room is definitely active and here for you. But as well as I will be sending out a link where you can come and join live and actually be, you can be vocal or visual with me doing this conversation and have this discussion with me. So I hope y'all are ready to dig into it. So I'm gonna start off with our first piece of information and learning what it is like to be teaching during a pandemic. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this first little clip I have, and then we're gonna go right into it. Let me get us going real quick. Sorry. All right, here we go. All right, we should have sound. Let me see. I think this is the right one. I'll make sure I got the right one before I share my screen. Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure I was on the right thing. All right, here we go. And all right, let me go ahead and let's weigh in. We're going to take a quick listen to this. And then when I come back, we're going to have the discussion. We're going to start our discussion.
The decision over whether students should be in school or learning from home has become a hot debate, but some of the voices we're hearing from the least are teachers themselves. Chrissy Diaz sat down with 5 teachers who work all across the metro to find out how they're feeling going into the new school year during a pandemic.
Good morning. My name is Lorelia Freeman. I'm a high school Spanish teacher.
I'm Susanna Swanson, and I am a teacher in the Atlanta area.
My name is Steve Bowen. I'm at West Forsyth High School. I'm an elementary music teacher currently in Paulding County.
I teach at Hiram Elementary School in Hiram, Georgia. Dead men don't work. Dead teachers don't teach.
I think it's a fantastic decision because these kids, these students need face-to-face contact.
Personally, I have some apprehensions, but I think that's probably natural for all teachers at this point.
I'm very concerned. And I really think a lot of teachers are seeing it as a decision between their lives and their work. And it's a horrible decision to be confronted with.
I live with someone who is medically fragile, so it is a very close to my heart decision whether or not we go virtual.
Our classrooms are not the size of Walmart. We cannot put 24 and 30 children 6 feet apart in these petri dishes of classrooms. And I'm telling them, don't share. We're teaching children at this developmental age to share.
If you want your kids to learn, you do it face to face. And even, myself talking to seniors, they were like, we want to be in the classroom. And we always have discussions about their lives and things like that we can't have when they're online.
I am in a high-risk group both because of my health and because I'm African American. I'm really, really concerned about that not being a factor in the decisions. I really feel like literally everybody's talking about us but us. I hear very little commentary or input happening from teachers.
My comfort level is important. I can't teach if I have a lot of anxiety. I can't be my best for my students if I'm overwhelmed with being afraid of bringing something home or getting sick. None of us are doing it for the money. None of us are doing it to do it halfway, like we're really invested. So I think assuming the best about our motives will go a long way.
I can't wait to see them. I'm disappointed that I won't be able to hug them. When I learned of a coworker that had COVID, at what risk do I step back into the classroom? Everybody has a voice in this. There's nobody that's not affected by changes in public education.
All right, I'm gonna stop the video there, and we're gonna bring us back into the conversation. So I'm hoping that y'all have definitely got a chance to take that in. And I know people have stopped in and stopped out. I know it's a Saturday night, so I understand people may be moving or not have time to be a part of the conversation. But for those that are here, I definitely appreciate you. So I want to start off with my first question. How does this make you feel? When we look at this video and this discussion, how did that make you feel? And is this our reality? Do you feel like this is your reality? How did this make you feel? Okay, and we're talking about the video that we just watched. How does this make you feel? And is this our reality? Okay, and welcome to anybody who's coming in, just having this educational conversation. We just quickly watched the video. If you're coming in, I see some people kind of coming in and out. And we're looking at the question, how does this make you feel? And is this our reality? Okay, how does this make you feel? And is this our reality? All right, I want to go ahead and you can leave a comment. I'm also going to share the invite link so that you can join if you want to join and share your opinion as well. So I'm going to be posting that link momentarily. I'm going to post it two ways. I'm going to post it from to my YouTube, definitely. And then I'm going to post it on my page as well on Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to be posting it two ways. All right, so if you want to come in and join the conversation, I ask that just make sure we're not cussing. Say no cuss channel, and be respectful to all opinions that may not be your own. Okay, we're going to do this just like we're in our classroom. And our first comment has come in. Thank you, Ms. Washington. I'm so divided about this new reality for us. Divided, that's a really strong word. Why divided? If I may ask, why do you feel divided? What is causing you to feel the division that you're feeling? Okay, what is causing you to feel that way? All right, I just put the link also in the chat box as well. So if you want to join live, I just put the link in there. It'll say StreamYard. All right, you'll see that link there. And I also put it in the comments. So if you want to join live, it'll bring you into my backstage, and then I'll see you and I'll bring you forward. Okay, that's a good statement, Ms. Washington. You feel so divided about this new reality. It is a little controversial, and I have my own opinions. I'm trying to not state any opinions right now. I'm just trying to keep it, keep it cute for now, but I will share my opinions. I'm just not there yet. I'm trying to open the floor for all our good viewers, and thank y'all again for joining us live here. I'm so excited to be doing this. It's been first one of the new year, y'all. I haven't done one since last year, so I'm excited. All right, so is this our new reality? Teaching during the pandemic. There's so many ways that we see teaching going on currently and in the way that we do it. I know from personal experience, that we see it happening in several different ways. We're seeing it happen where, classes that require you to be physically active, to be to do certain things such as choir, music, all of your fine arts programs. I've seen it to where these programs are suffering across the nation. I mean, you have some school districts that are persevering and many school districts that have shut those programs down or completely put a restriction around those programs. These programs thrive on the interaction and how they interact. So practicing, performing, playing looks totally different for them during the pandemic time. And fine arts was already a dying subject. And hey, KK, was already a dying subject, and we're seeing that subject die even more with what's going on in the pandemic. And I mean, that's nothing that we can control directly per se, but it sucks because you see a lot of these kids who fine arts or the performing arts is a part of their lives, and they have not been able to do it at the capacity at which we would normally be able to do it. And for some kids, this may be their last year or their first year, and they're not getting the full experience. So it's one thing that we're seeing going on. Another thing that we see, of course, is in the traditional classroom setup or the classroom model. Kids are not able to interact the way they normally would. We've been preaching, groups and small groups and a lot of collaboration, into where this year that looks totally different. You may be seeing it somewhat in a virtual setting, but it's not the same as the in-person physical talking and communication that goes on. And so we see that happen that way as well. All right, I got a couple of comments come in, so I'm gonna pause myself and look at these comments. Ooh, okay, here we go. Miss Washington says, because me as an educator on a private sector and my son being a new educator in the public sector, we have had to make hard decisions regarding our health and protection when it comes to our work being effective. Okay. Just making sure I'm trying to make sure I haven't missed any part of your comment. Okay. Yeah. Just want to make sure I saw everything. Okay. I understand that. So for anybody who came in, this is coming from this particular statement. She said that I'm so divided about this new reality for us. And she was answering the question that I posed down at the bottom. And so this was her follow-up question, just to make sure we have a full concept of what's happening. Because me as an educator on a private sector and my son being a new educator in the public sector, we have had to make hard decisions regarding our health and protection when it comes to our work being effective. Really, really good. Thank you. I definitely understand the sacrifice. And it does put you in a hard place. Even, for many educators, especially those who do extracurricular activities, I know that has even been harder because you want to see your programs and the organization and the kids, persevere through this. We teach that all the time, persevering in the face of adversity. However, sometimes it's like, do I really want to do this? You have to question, is it worth going through the potential to do what we do? Okay. Here I have another comment from Miss Dean. Thank you, Miss Dean, for your comment. It says, I do not feel safe at work each day. We have more and more students beginning to come due to them not being successful at home. I understand that one personally. I do understand why they want the students in school. However, it's hard to practice social distance, and I don't trust that they are truly contact tracing with fidelity. I'm laughing because I have my own opinion about that last part of your statement, but that's neither here or there. I will keep that one to myself. Thank you, Ms. Dean, for your comment and your contribution, and Ms. Washington to the conversation. So I definitely agree with both of what you're saying. It is very, very hard to have normal education standpoints, but we're seeing our students fall further and further behind. Of course, this almost 7-month gap that many of the school districts took, 6 to 7 months during the pandemic in the United States, definitely was a gap builder to a gap that was already there in many places across the nation. And then to come back and not be able to try to teach at the level that we needed to catch the gap up or to close the gap really, really hurts as well. And so it really has put a ding in everything that we do and believe as educators. And I think even as parents and students as well, we're having to literally learn how to re-evolve what we've been doing and relearn and reassess how we're doing it and what's working and what's not. So it's really, really putting a larger gap. And think about the new teachers that came into teaching this year. Think about the new educators that came. Think about the students that were transitioning to new schools or from one level of school to another level of school, how this must be. Students going into high school for the first year of their lives, or students going to middle school for the first year, or students going to elementary for the first year of their lives. This has got to be a tremendous difference for them. Some people have never met their teachers. Teachers have never met students. I mean, there's such a large gap, just even abroad of the education. So looking at that. Got another comment come in. Thank you again, Ms. Washington. She says, I personally find it challenging to teach my craft online, especially when a student is more receptive and hands-on and with their learning style. Learning styles are very important. Our safety is at risk because if you do not mask up and sanitize consistently, you and your students are even more at risk. That's true. Very, very true. Not all people can receive virtual learning, especially if that's your main mode of teaching right now. Virtual learning is not for everybody. Some people need to be one-on-one, face-to-face, as we call it. Some students need hands-on learning. There's 3 learning styles, as we know. Audio, visual, and kinesthetic are your 3 main styles of learning. So some people get it visually. So virtually may be okay as long as they can visually see what's happening. Some may need to hear the audio only, but then there's those who need to be able to do it and to touch it and to feel it and to go through the process. And virtually, sometimes that's hard. It's like trying to teach dance over a computer. It can happen, but is it the best way to learn? Not necessarily, because you have those who need to be in the environment. Okay. I know for myself, I can take it away from education and take it to the spiritual realm. I know when dealing with church, I get the word great online, but the word sinks deeper when I'm actually in the environment, when I'm in the house and the word comes down and I'm in the mood and the spirit is around. It's different because in my home, I'm in my bed watching the service from TV. So there's a different experience there. The worship experience is different. And I know that although I understand the word and I get what is being delivered, it hits different when you're in the physical environment. So it's something that we've taken for granted that we're definitely learning about. Okay, so I want to move us forward. If you have any comments regarding this particular first question, feel free to go ahead and comment. I want to keep us moving forward in the conversation, and we can always wind back down to it. And of course, I'm gonna have a open-ended ending as I always do. So I'm gonna take this off of the screen, and we're gonna go ahead and move into our next topic. Okay, and I want you to hear how some of our educators across the nation are taking the pandemic as we speak. So I'm going to switch here. And again, we're going to just quickly watch a clip of a small video. We're going to quickly watch the clip of this small video. And then once we do that, I will come back and we'll add on to the conversation that we've been having. So thank you again all for joining us here on The Way In, which is my conversation YouTube channel where we talk about a plethora of topics, but today just happens to be this one, all right? And I think this is near and dear to a lot of our hearts because I think a lot of us are finding the frustration of it. All right, so here's our next video. Oops, my bad. I shared the wrong video. That's the one we just watched. Let me try again, clicking too fast. All right, here we go. Here's our next discussion post. All right. And here we go.
About over 1,000 emails.
Nick Veroni struck a nerve when he posted a simple tweet. How many teachers are close to breaking down? Launching a conversation about how teachers are really doing.
Exhausted and burnt out, but need to keep providing the best education I can.
It feels like we're building an airplane while we're already in the air flying.
It's my 15th year teaching, and I feel like a first-year teacher all over again.
We sat down with 3 educators for a candid conversation.
Do you feel like in some ways the kids' stress and anxiety is also something that the teachers take on?
Absolutely. Those are my babies. My babies.
Nick is teaching history remotely. Kelly Gallagher is a high school science teacher, and Nicole Mancini teaches 5th grade.
What is the toughest part about teaching during a pandemic?
When we think of our kids, some of them are taking care of their siblings. Some of them may have lost a family member due to this horrible virus.
Trauma that's even harder to heal remotely.
Some students feel safer walking around a classroom than they do at home. That's an aspect of education that we don't have right now.
On top of worrying about their students, recent surveys show nearly half of teachers say their own families are struggling, with 1 in 3 saying the pandemic has made them more likely to leave teaching earlier than planned.
It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to cry because we have all done it so far this year.
Teachers are now connecting from around the world.
We've definitely gotten a little bit of that mentality of stronger together.
What is that silver lining that you're hoping for?
We now realize that schools are so much more than just schools to students.
In the springtime, when the kind of world of education was
getting shook from its foundation, there was that sort of glimmer of hope, like maybe we could rebuild this.
Adapting and reimagining the classroom as teachers manage one of the toughest jobs of the COVID crisis.
I'm not giving up because we want the best for our students.
Vicki, teachers are doing such important work. How can parents support them?
Lester, if you know a teacher, check on them. An email or text goes a long way. As for teachers, mental health experts say set aside time for self-care. Make sure that you are away from work and email so you can recharge.
Hey, NBC News fan.
All right, we're going to go and come back to our conversation. I have two questions. I'm going to start with my first one. How is learning from home working for you, whether you're on the educator side or the parent side or the student side? How is the learning at home working for you? That's going to be my first discussion piece for tonight. How is learning at home working for you? I had another question. I was trying to make sure it was up. Okay. So again, I put the links again in the comments if you would like to come and actually be a part of the live conversation, which means you'll join me here to bring you into my backdrop, and then I can bring you up and you can share your voice or your face and voice. It's up to you, and let your voice be heard, but you can also share your comments as well. All right. So how is learning at home working for you? Is it working for you? I guess is the question I really want to ask. How is learning at home working for you? I can tell you from my perspective that it started off a little rough, a little rocky. Have I been able to adjust to it? Yes. And it wasn't a big adjustment because I was using a lot of technology as a teacher, as an educator myself. I was using a lot of technology to begin with, even from last year. So before the pandemic hit. So it's not a major difference for me. But not being able to physically know your kids has been one of the biggest letdowns of the year, because I mean, one of my students can literally walk up to me and speak to me, and I don't know who they are because I probably have never seen their face, due to the fact that they can turn their cameras on and off, and because people are learning from home or from different environments. Personally, I feel that some environments are not conducive to the kids showing themselves in the camera. So I definitely give my students the option to not show themselves. As long as I can hear their voice, as long as they're active, if we're chatting or participating, then for me, it works fine. But some teachers I know require them to show their face. And a lot of times when you're dealing with the video aspect, it can become a distraction because, I mean, y'all have seen YouTubes where where the students are doing pranks on teachers and things like that. I saw one that was so funny recently that was like, what do you call it? It was so funny recently because it was like they were doing what they call the Nelly prank. And creative and funny it is, but the same energy that our students put into doing such things, they don't put into the educational part. And that's what the letdown is that we see them putting energy into things that, for TikTok and for other aspects. But when it comes to the part that we need them to be, engaged in, we don't get that same level of energy. And so it can become a little wearisome in a sense. All right. And got a comment come in. So I'm going to go ahead and read the comment. Thank you again, Ms. Washington. He said, this has for sure shown us how the school system was not fully prepared for such a transition for students. Fact, parents and educators alike. But it has made us more aware of what is needed. However, many have grown in how they could improve with their classroom environment and educational settings. That's a two-edged sword towards the end that I think growth was inevitable, but have a lot of people are stuck in the ways that they've been stuck in, just from my personal preference. And so you have a generation that has never taught like this, that never thought they would see an age of teaching like this, and that is a little behind the curve. And then you have a generation that this, could be their norm because they may have even learned like this during college years. So I can definitely see your point into what you're saying there, and how you feel about this. So really good point here, as far as the growth. But yes, it has definitely caused us to be prepared differently. All right, definitely has caused us to be prepared differently. I want to also pose this question while we're on the topic. And again, if you would like to join the stream and share your comment, you don't want to type it, maybe you're driving, you're doing something, we definitely want you to be safe out there. Just hit that StreamYard and follow the instructions there, that StreamYard link that I posted, and you can become, it'll bring you into the back room, and then I can put you up on the screen to share your comments. I just ask that you keep it PG-13. All right. The other part of the conversation that I really want to have is this question here. And it says, have you been able to self-care as an educator? Have you been able to self-care as an educator? I know for myself, in the educational world, it's hard to find time to self-care. Yes. Can we do it? Yes. But is there a lot of time to do it? And can we do it in the way that we need to really take the stress and relax off? It's questionable, because we spend so much time working on behalf of our students and trying to communicate with our parents and with our admin and with our teammates and grade level teachers and all the other things that come along with being a teacher. Even today's Saturday here, and it literally, I was doing some work. I didn't work long, but I got up to do some work and do some stuff to make sure that it would keep things flowing for the next week and what I have to do. And so it requires you to put in more time than we already did prior to COVID, in your personal time, to do it even now. So I can say self-care has been very hard, and finding time to do it and not get that burnout that happens, because the burnout is real, which is going to lead us into our next topic in just a second. All right. So here's another one from Miss Washington. It says, teachers have gained togetherness and support of each other around the world, which has been a huge necessity. Now, that is factual. Thank you for that one. For the success, educational experience of everyone. We have really gained a lot of support in a lot of ways. First, initially people were downing us and like, we need your check if you're not going to be teaching in the classroom and all that. And I get all that necessity, but definitely, we have gained the world as a success. Even a parent telling me yesterday or the day before, that they really appreciate what we do as teachers, because they understand that we really are going through a lot to try to make it happen. And it is a lot, because mentally, it's not the physical aspect, it's the mental aspect. Mentally, it takes a lot to do what we're doing. Hey, Jade, how are you doing? Yes, ma'am. Come on into the chat room. Come on in the room. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So Jade says it has caused us to develop a new form of business across all industries, and how systems have adapted and direct relationships to funding too. Very, very true. Very true, Miss Jade. Very, very true. Yes, drop that knowledge. So yes, it has definitely caused us to learn how to do business. I mean, we see people we're conducting TV and regular shows using Zoom and other platforms. Even the platform that I'm using now, I'm streaming to Facebook and YouTube, but I'm not on neither one. I'm using a whole nother software that I'm streaming from that is taking what I'm doing and taking it into those platforms. And so again, technology has definitely been one of those things that have definitely advanced us, and we're doing business. We're conducting it. I mean, where we would normally have to take a business trip from LA to New York, now it's happening virtually from our home. So, with a nice backdrop, right? So it's just how we're doing it. And we've definitely had to learn how to adapt our situations as well, and the way that we're funding those situations too. So yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You said even 5 minutes of mindful meditation is helpful to sustain you must have self-care. You're right. You're right. 5 minutes can do a lot, especially if you're just feeling bogged down. That 5 minutes could mean the world to you. However, sometimes 5 minutes may not just be enough. It may not be enough, especially if it's one of those days that's just bearing down in the head and you got so much going on mentally and you're just at that combustion point where you want to explode. You may need more than 5 minutes, but the dedication of what it takes to do the job of being a teacher, and I'm talking from that aspect because I'm definitely going to look at the parent and the student side as well. That 5 minutes may not be enough. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the agreement. The value and role of the educator has increased dramatically. Just appreciation. Yeah, it is. Just an appreciation. It is. It is. It is. I mean, learning that people really appreciate what we do. If they never appreciated before, never saw it before, they definitely appreciate it now. Yes, boo, hey. Okay, Ms. Washington had a comment. She says, having to be connected to the virtual life alongside of preparing for your individual subject class settings has hugely taken so much from personal time and self-care. Man, that's a mouthful. There's so much I want to say. That's a mouthful because we have to prepare mentally and emotionally. We have to try to make sure that we're, giving ourselves what is needed to be able to be ready for the next day. And it takes so much to be ready in this technology-driven environment. I mean, you have to have your videos, you have to have your resources, what applications, and then trying to stream everything so that it's not go here for this, go there for that, do this. You want to keep it simple, especially for our students, because they're going all over the place. It's so many websites and so many new platforms and things to use. And that's one thing as an educator myself, I don't want to confuse my students. So I try to make, no matter what I'm using, I try to make everything stream to one thing and everything they need is from there, because you got to keep it simple because they wasn't doing all this just a few months ago. And so we definitely got to make sure that we're easing them into the process. Yes. Make it a daily practice. Yes. The self-care, making it a daily practice will definitely help. And it will definitely, it would help to do it, even if it's just a couple of 5 minutes. What I'm learning to do at night is to put on soothing music, relaxing music. Listening to church music in the morning is always soothing for me. I'm really, really old school when it comes to that. I like to take my shower in the morning, my scalding hot water, put on my good gospel music, and just let the Lord lead me in. I mean, that gets my mental preparation in the morning so that when I go into work, it really helps to get me mentally prepared for what's coming. And then definitely at night having, aromatherapy, lighting those candles that I love and getting that fragrance, putting on relaxing music, watching a good show, but trying to find a way and learning when to say work is over, close my laptop, and I'm going to put that away, because I had a habit where I would come home and work even more after leaving hours of doing work. Now I'm having to learn that once I leave the workplace, I'm done. Even today, I was up, like I said, doing some stuff, and I had to literally physically log out of everything and say, okay, this is my personal time now. I'm going to let, whatever didn't happen or whatever comments didn't take place prior to now, that's it, but I try to make myself available during the weekends for my kids because I know they need me, but I also have to learn that I have personal things that have to go on. So I may check my email here or there, but I only address things that are emergency. Having to learn how to make all this happen is very time-consuming and costly, especially in a fast timeline when you are accustomed to a traditional classroom setting. Man, that's a whole mouthful right there. I can't even begin to tell you the mouthful that is. That's a whole mouthful. It is very time-consuming. And if you haven't been ready to make that transition can be very hard. You have to literally take time and learn how to work things out. And for all the non-tech savvy people, it has really been a growth trend, and it can be very frustrating when you're used to just getting it and going. And like I said, trying to teach dance, try teaching music online, teaching vocals online, and you have lag time. I mean, that can become very frustrating. And I know because I've done a couple of dance sessions online, and although we got some results, it's so frustrating because what took us 2 days to do, I could have done literally in like an hour in person. So it's just learning how to get there and being patient to get there as well. All right, let's see. You have to be safe so nothing is hacked and students remain interactive. Man. Oh, y'all, it's so much I want to say that I'm trying not to say. But like I said, you see people doing those challenges. And I want to show y'all one real quick. It wasn't on my list of things to do, but I want to show y'all what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, let me see. And so let me see. Okay, so but yeah, it's really, it takes a lot because the students are finding a way to make it funny for them, but like I said, they're pouring the energy into all the wrong things. And so yeah, so here's a little video showing you the prank real quick, and I'll show you that. Hold on, let me get these comments so I don't lose them. It is a new norm. Unfortunately, we do not definitely know when the pandemic will end. We're at a point where we must learn to coexist, easily adapt, and embrace innovation. Yeah, that's true. And because we don't, we have to embrace. And I think it's forcing some things to change that probably needed to change. We've been doing a lot of things in the old way. I mean, we've been using paper for a long time, but the funny part is we've had all the technology resources to be in a more digital world. Some places have moved there quicker than others, but the pandemic definitely forced it to happen. So not all bad, because I feel like we're saving paper, we're saving some environmental stuff. It's just our systems wasn't ready. Our systems wasn't ready for the whole world to be online the way that it is. I mean, you force people to be online, they don't even have Wi-Fi, which is, definitely something that's different. Any hardships or accessibility barriers, we must be more vocal and bring it to the forefront in order for you to be successful. True. You must be provided the tools to be successful. That is so true. Man, that is so true in a mouthful. Thank you, Jade. Man, come in here with the knowledge. Come on, Jade. I knew what you meant, boo. I knew what you meant. You ain't got to do it. I was trying to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. All right, so real quick, I'm going to show you this little video clip of like some of the stuff that we see as teachers. And like I said, it's funny to me, but it can be frustrating when you know that the students are spending more time coming up with ideas like this than actually doing the work, okay? Let me show you this real quick. Let me take this banner off. All right, and then we're gonna lead us into our next topic right after this. All right, our next piece of the topic. Let me find it. Okay, here we go. And all right, make sure y'all can see it good. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. Come
on, stop that motion. Make them seasick.
All right, real quick, I gotta show it again, y'all. It is funny.
Somebody turn on the record player. Come on, stop that motion. You're making me seasick. Come on now, what is going on?
Okay, so these are the type of things that we're seeing, okay, happen in our classrooms. Our students are getting creative in so many different ways. And again, it is funny. That one right there was funny to me. Now, I've seen some that are not so funny, but that one was funny and creative. I got to give it to them now. I'm not no hater. I love a good joke, but sometimes it can be frustrating when you're so serious. But I love a good joke, but I ain't gonna lie, that was very creative. And as you can see, one of the students had some internet issues because he was lagging behind everybody else. Oh, he was not moving with the same pace. He was behind the whole time, but neither here or there. But yeah, but definitely, we see those type of things all the day. I mean, and we've heard of very disgusting situations as well, where students are sharing inappropriate things online, where they take over and do stuff and start doing things, and that causes issues because now you're dealing with people's beliefs, you're dealing with people's exposure to the things that they may not have been exposed to before, and that's something that we don't know because to them it's a prank. but to somebody else, it's life changing or life altering. And that's something that we've had to also pay attention to as well. All right. He spoke for the behind kids in real life. Yes. Yes, he did. Okay. That was called the Nelly Challenge is what they named it. The kids have all these weird challenges. So if you want to go find it, you can search that up on YouTube, or if you have TikTok, just go do your discovery and find Nelly Challenge, and you can find that video. It is very hilarious. I still think that video is so funny. And I laughed the first time I saw it, but I was just like, as a teacher, if that was my class, I'd be so frustrated. But I kind of laughed. I would have laughed, but I would have been so frustrated. I mean, it's happened to me too, y'all. They've gotten me before. And so we've talked about kind of what the teachers are seeing and what they feel, and I don't want it to be a one-sided conversation. And I was hoping I'd have a few parents come on. I know I have one for sure that's here, but a few parents with some kids in school that will come on. And I've had a few drop in, drop out. I don't know if they're still here or not. So, and I haven't seen them say a lot outside of the one that I know. And so I definitely wanted some of their opinions, but we can still discuss it though. Consider the constraints students are under. Let the kids be social and play. Laughter is healing. Man, it is. And don't get me wrong. I definitely understand the constraints. And I know it's just a need to have a moment of fun and laughter. And even the pranks, I get it. But all the pranks they do are not funny. Some of them are very inappropriate. And it can get, in a normal circumstance, we can lose our job. And even then we can still lose our job. So sometimes they do cross those borderlines of funny and inappropriate to inappropriate and, life altering. For some of us, we're the health risks that we take to go into these schools and these classrooms, if we're not able to work from home, is because we have to provide for our family or for ourselves because there's nobody to provide for us. My situation, amen. Okay. I am the breadwinner of my house. I am the breadwinner in my home. So if he does not work, he does not eat. And the Bible says a man that does not work does not eat. Amen. So I have to make sure that I'm working so that I can eat because I like to eat. I'm hungry now. Feed me. All right. So I'm going to continue the conversation, and I want to take a look at more of what our students are feeling in the situation. And so I'm going to take us to this video. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me see. I'm going to close some of these windows that I don't need anymore so that I can get there. All right. Here we go. All right, so I'm not going to play the whole video. My bad. I didn't share the screen. I'm not going to play the whole video, but I definitely want to play a piece of it. Okay, amen. Okay, and then we're going to keep it moving forward with our conversation. So this is kind of from the student's perspective of what they may be feeling, okay?
So this is what our students want us to know about pandemic learning. It's a blog that I wrote because I had done a survey. I was thinking about what is the student perspective on all of this. We hear so much from adults on what teaching and learning looks like during the pandemic, but we don't often ask the students, which I think is a mistake. So I surveyed students and got over 100 responses from a few different countries. And they remarked about things such as, why is this so hard for them? And they said it's hard because they don't have access, or the assignments can be really difficult. As I went through asking about 11 questions, we started to get a little bit deeper when it came to the assignments. Because what I started to see when I had been coding different comments and questions that came up on a couple of Facebook teaching pandemic pages is the accountability piece. We always talk about accountability. We seem to want accountability for everybody else, but we don't want accountability for ourselves all the time. But we notice that we definitely want accountability for students. But a lot of that's gone. The grades that we usually use, those are gone from no harm policies that schools have had. Or we can't require students to show up. Or, the adult control we usually have in the classroom is gone right now. So we're noticing that students are not necessarily always engaging, and I wanted to know why they weren't engaging. Sometimes it was due to the content. That was sort of the biggest factor. If they didn't like the content, they weren't going to show up. Sometimes part of that was the teacher. If they didn't find the teacher engaging, then they weren't going to show up. But when it came to the assignments, I wanted to know more. I found that really interesting. So what they said was they didn't like the assignments that were review. They didn't like that teachers would just upload an assignment to Google Classroom and say, do that. What they missed and what they want more of are Zoom meetings where they not only see their teacher, but they can see their friends as well. There are a couple of reasons why that's so important. Number one, we are in a pandemic. There's lots of chaos going on around us. We watch the news and it can be depressing. So when a student can see the face of their teacher, or teachers can see the faces of their leaders, there's a sense of calm that may be able to come from this, that they know that as chaotic as part of their life is right now, they can look at a teacher and they can feel like there's some level of normalcy. But the other part is really important too, because what we know is from research is that students learn better when they can engage in dialogue with other students. So those Zoom chat rooms or Google Meets or whatever we use in order to get students to talk to one another is actually really important. Now, it's also equally as important that we have teacher clarity and we have proper success criteria behind that. But the other part that they don't like is that whole idea of uploading assignments or doing review. Now, that's very difficult for teachers because sometimes teachers have been required to only do review from their school districts. So perhaps instead of fighting it, we need to look at doing it differently. Students didn't like.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there real quick. And I have a question I'm gonna pose. And he brought up something that was really good and it just made me think about it. So I don't wanna completely go through that, but he's given a lot of good pointers based on his data. And just so you know, this does come from an accredited source. It was even posted in Education Week, which is where I found it. Education Week is a very accredited source for educator information and news and breaking information. So Education Week is what it's called. And so I can definitely send you the link if you want that article for yourself. But here's the question that I'm posing. How do we build engagement for our students? And how do we get buy-in? How do we get buy-in? Okay. Think about that. As a parent, as a student, anything that you're needing, how do we build that? How do we build that engagement? I know what I do in my room, but how do we build the engagement? How do we get the buy-in that is needed? Give y'all a second to kind of think about that. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to be rude. I was trying to respond to a text that I got. All right. Okay. So we're looking for that buy-in. All right. The buy-in. Oh, okay. Here we go. Ty, you gave me a good one. Okay. Got a great comment coming in. And I'm trying to make sure. So I'm going to read. I can only see part of it here, but I have the whole comment. So I'll be reading it from my phone to see the rest of it because this only will post so much of the comment. All right. So you said more rapid response to students' needs. This has been rough on my daughter because she is ADHD. I am too. And her attention span is challenged with the virtual learning and being able to communicate with the teacher via email only. Now, it has made her have to address other ways to assist her learning experience better to reach her educational goals. The staff as a whole is extremely overwhelmed. However, some students are suffering more than others. Some are getting over and others are simply just trying to get through the new normal. Okay, so I got all but the last couple of words, okay? Let's address it. Let's break that down because you give us, that's a lot. That's a mouthful said, and I want to definitely address that, okay? Definitely ADHD can be a challenge. I know for me, even as a being the teacher on the side, it's hard to be on the computer for 7 to 8 plus hours a day. And I say plus because tutoring is involved in that as well. Online one-on-one meetings, parent meetings. I mean, it takes a lot. And it really does take a toll. So it is hard, even being ADHD. I like to maneuver and move around. Even now, sitting here and talking, I just want to get up and walk around. But unfortunately, my camera won't follow me, so I have to stay put. And then let's see. Yes, communication through email only. I try to make sure that, in our Zoom or Google Meet or whatever form you may use, that I'm there for my students. They also have my classroom number, so they can talk to me on the phone. And if they need, one-on-one help, I try to meet them on Zoom or Google Meet. And that way we can share screens, do things where we can really get the help and show them what they need to do. And I also do instructional videos where they can go back and play it at their own pace. That works for me. Now it has made, learn how to assist herself and reach out and get those things for herself. Yeah, it's definitely required a lot of independence. Overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed, burnout is real. And the last part, there are a lot of students getting over, and a lot that know that their parents are working or busy and they're not really having time to check in on them because they have maybe 2 or 3 siblings, and their parents, have, I don't want to say failed, but have negated the fact that you have to check in on them a little bit more. And the sad part is, and this is just my opinion, the work is as easy as it's ever going to get. You know what I'm saying? It's never been this easy in life to be successful in school right now and to get a grade. If you've never been that A student before, literally right now, you could be that A student by simply being engaged and taking the part in participating. Just my opinion as a teacher, at least from my shoes and my desk. But that may not be everybody's reality. So I can't, expect everybody to believe that. Thank you, Ms. Washington, for that, because you definitely hit several nails on the head for that comment. Okay. I want to allow him to finish this last little part of his statement, and then we'll move on to the next piece. Okay. So if you're coming into the conversation again, there's links in the comments. If you scroll up, you'll see that you can come into the actual virtual room with me and speak and have your voice heard if you want to share your camera, or you can get on camera and jump in and talk with us. And or you can be in the chat room, and I will definitely post your comment on the screen as long as I see it, and you can do that. But I'm going to let this video play just another minute or so, and then we're going to move on, okay? And it's guiding us into our next part of the conversation.
Like the review, if it was just the same kind of worksheet that they did a few months ago. What they would like is that if we could do that review in another way, and because we don't have those accountability measures I talked about before, things like grading, we actually have more freedom to allow students their own choice, or to be able to do it in a way that they choose, or that we can look at surface, deep, and transfer level through things like project-based learning or developing conceptual understanding. Just because it's review doesn't mean it needs to be boring. It means that it can be given in a different way. What I found most surprising when I wrote and posted the blog on what students want us to know about pandemic learning was the adult reaction through social media. I heard from so many people that said things like, I've read so much from adults about pandemic learning, but this is the first blog that I've ever seen from students. And I think that's odd, because so many of us spend so much time talking about student learning. Why would it be such a shock that we would want the student perspective? So this is what I'm asking of you. If you have not engaged in a lot of dialogue with your students, try to find ways to be able to do that through Zoom meetings. If you're an administrator that's setting a guideline that you can't do that, start to think about loosening it up. Because you're going to lose more students if teachers keep uploading worksheets to an assignment. But you're going to gain more engagement if you give students the opportunity to talk between their peers and also with their teacher. And if you haven't asked for feedback on what's working and what is not, try to do that with your students, because what they will give you is really important information. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, anytime we get feedback, it stings a little bit. But the reality is, after that sting goes away, we might start to change our practices. And therefore, we can start to go from pandemic teaching to actual virtual teaching, something we might want to get used to, because this could be something that we have to deal with in the fall. And one more thing, what we know from the student surveys is that they find new learning to be difficult, but at some point, we're not going to be able to escape that. So one of the questions that I asked of teachers, they'll come out in a future blog, and one of the same question that I asked of students is, what are the things that you hope that you are doing now in this pandemic learning experience that you'll be able to do in the future when you're back in the classroom? And that new learning piece is the key, because we know that students find it difficult. And when they're alone, it's a lot harder to be motivated and move on. So one of the things we do have to do when we actually get back into the classroom is try to figure out a way so students aren't so dependent on us. So they are feeling that cognitive conflict, because when they are on their own again and they're doing a virtual learning experience, they won't find it so hard to be motivated. They won't find it so hard to be able to move on, because they'll be used to that cognitive conflict, and they'll be able to experience their own learning, which we know there's a deeper sense of pride that goes along with it. Thank you for your time.
All right. So that leads us to where we are in our video now. And so it leads me to the next question that I have. Are teachers overwhelming the students with too much work? Okay. I really, really want to hear from this. And I wish I had a few more parents that were able to come on. But I mean, you know, we're going to do what we're going to do. So it is what it is. But are teachers really overwhelming our students with too much work? Do y'all agree with that? Okay. If you have seen it, if you're helping your niece, your nephew, if you have a child or anything, definitely let me know if you agree with that. As an educator, I do see where some teachers possibly could be overbearing the students with too much work, negating the fact that this is online learning and not learning in the traditional setting as we know it. So we definitely have to be cognizant that our students get burnout. Lack of motivation is very real. Okay. And I posted the links just in case you want to join. Again, I'm making sure that people see those so they don't get buried in the comments. But do y'all feel that too much work is something that is necessarily true? Like I said, I know as a teacher, I think some teachers do. And I'm going to say that. I think I've seen lots of examples where teachers are giving way too much work. Or causing too many assignments, instead of learning how to take multiple grades from one assignment and working that way. Because you got to remember, our students lack motivation, determination, time management is a big issue. Burnout is real, especially with being in front of a digital screen, what they call blue screen. That burnout is real. So definitely having to teach them and train them that way, because a lot of students didn't come that way. All right, you said I think they are not. Okay. Wasn't expecting that one. It can definitely prepare them for higher learning in college life with this pandemic learning. You have to know how to accomplish your educational goals when what is required of you is given. I agree. I think that we definitely want to be able to look at those goals, and we definitely want to be able to challenge our students to step up to the plate. But what about the student, you know, that has other issues going on at home? And we're going to segue into that in just a second. What about the student that has other things happening where they can't keep up with the work? Or the student lives in an area that does not have reliable internet. We do have that going on, even in a major city, like the one you see behind you. Okay. What about those situations? And that's kind of where I have to think about as I pose these questions as well. Okay. You said now as far the tribe that has to help the parents who cannot be home with their students, it is a lot of work and work to complete. Yeah. When your mom is having, or dad, or your guardian's having to go to work every day and they're not there with you physically, it can become a lot. It can become a lot, especially when you worked all day or working from home all day, and then you have to try to help your child. It's a lot for them to keep up with. And I think that's becoming more of the norm than what we think it is. And, you know, we all have our own opinions about what could and should happen. But at the end of the day, what is the reality? You know, is this something that's really possible? You said, I agree, making them become accountable learners. I love that statement. And I'm there with you in the way that I believe. But sitting from the educator's desk, sometimes I do see where that's not the reality of where we are in this particular time frame. And I'm just thinking, from where I stand. You said, again, speaking on in system infrastructures. Well, yeah, I understand that. Examples, Austin, you use buses as Wi-Fi hubs. You're right, but not every school district is equipped or has that capability. Some do, some don't. So what about the districts that don't? How do we get them the allocation they need? Because you got to remember, everything's a numbers game and it's also a money game, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. You said, I believe the schools have made a huge attempt to make resources available. However, most are not trying to make the change. That is just my opinion. And your opinion makes sense. And I think that your opinion is right in some circumstances, that people are not trying to make that change. They're just going to go through. And we see that always happen, Houston has used churches as venues for face-to-face learning and Wi-Fi accessibility. Really? Well, look at Houston. Come on, Houston, H-Town. I didn't know that. See, now you're teaching me something. See, you're teaching me something. Funding again. Yeah, funding. It's all about the funding, okay? Here's the other question I have real quick. Then I'm going to move into something else. Are social media platforms educational, such as TikTok? Do we agree with that? Okay? Are social media platforms educational, such as TikTok? Okay, I think that was to the last comment. Okay, are social media platforms educational, such as TikTok? In my humble opinion, I think that we can learn to use them to be educational. Are they necessarily meant that way? Not always, but can we make them educational? Yes. There's a lot of things that I've learned how to do on TikTok. And I never thought I would have known how to do some of the things that I'm doing now. TikTok has definitely put a lot of people on game on a lot of things that we might not have known. We've shared information that some of us didn't know anything about. So in one aspect, yes, I think that it can be educational, but there are so much things on different social medias, not just including TikTok, but others that make it somewhat unsafe, because there's a lot of things that can be posted that we have no control over. And I don't know if you know, but like TikTok, you scroll. So the scrolling, things pop up from what you view. So if you view a lot of things about food, then food's naturally going to come up on your stuff based on the algorithm. But if you're just scrolling and you don't have a set algorithm, then there's so many things that could pop up on your TikTok. Okay, you say yes and no? Yeah, I think so too. Exactly. At this junction, you have to meet people where they're at. Yeah, I agree. We definitely have to meet them where they are. It's just that it's so many people on different levels. And as being a teacher, you have, a caseload of students and they all on different levels. It makes it really hard because they push you to be able to meet all of those students' needs, but they all need something different. And then adding virtual, adding a virtual setting is definitely going to even push it even harder. So that's just something to think about as well. He says some of it can be very distracting for those who already can't stay focused. Yes, very, 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 very true. It is another distraction to take them away from what they already know. And that's something that we have to also think about as well. Take Thomas in Fort Worth. He used rap to engage his students, YouTube and etc. Yeah, I've seen other ways people have done that and have been trying to make education fun for them. So we definitely have seen a lot of creativity. And so you brought that up, and I definitely want to get into that since you already brought it up. So I found this, let me see. I found this, where am I at? Here we go. So I found this here, this website here. This is from Teach for America, which is a popular teaching organization. And oh, okay. Hold on. Where am I at? Sorry, y'all. I had something come in. So it says 6 amazing ways teachers are using social media during the pandemic. Looking for inspiration, these teachers leverage video to share educational, engaging lessons. And so you'll see here, like this is TikTok, I know at the beginning. These are all TikTok videos that they're using. This is just showing how some teachers are using these particular things. So you have a teacher reading here on YouTube and learning and engaging kids. So read aloud and prompting, that's one way they're using it. This is TikTok, I know. And this is teachers using TikTok as motivational tools with his high school chemistry students. That's one teacher doing it there. You have this teacher, again, using YouTube. Okay. Let me see. You have a teacher doing math. Okay, 6th grade math. And then you have a science project. That's, well, no, I can't click on that one. I thought that one was a live link, but it's not. But just learning how to, they're doing science projects. So that's something that we've seen our teachers doing, and that's done on TikTok. And then again, you have another, you know, some athletes and things like that that is reading as well. Okay, so you have different ways that teachers are using social media to try and bring people in. Okay, you said, however, there are times when it can give them a positive interactive, but it's just have to be monitored due to safety. Teachers are already heavily involved with this virtual life of education. Yeah, you're right. And I know there's some educational apps that are just as user friendly as some of the social media ones, and they help us to you know, to use for the students, but you know, the students don't know them because they're educational, so they don't use my side of education. They want to be able to use what they already know, but keeping them focused is hard because once they do what they're supposed to do, you go on. But I mean, I used social media last year. I had students tweet or Instagram questions about things we were talking about, or discussions we were having, or themes that we were doing in our classroom, and get feedback to use as some of the evidence they needed. And it helped a lot with our students, and some of them even saw it built engagement and instruction and conversation, rich conversation, because they were getting different reactions that they probably didn't think they were going to get based on what people were saying. And sometimes it shows you that you may not know people the way you think you know them. You're required to have a broader portfolio. A lot is being asked, and I empathize. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are definitely being asked to push the button a little bit more. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all here for pushing buttons and all those type of things. But I definitely, you know, always want to, you know, make sure that we're being very cognizant of what we're using and not overstepping our boundaries. So that's something I always want to make sure we pay attention to as well. Okay. Real quick, I want to read just a little snippet of a teacher's experience, and then I'm going to move on into the next little thing. And like I said, we're almost done with some of the things I want to talk about, and I'm definitely going to leave the floor open for people to discuss what they, if y'all want to discuss or bring up any conversation as well. And I thank y'all for sticking around and talking to me and actually engaging in the conversation. I really appreciate it. I just hate that you didn't get as many people as I want, but hey, the ones that are here are the ones that are meant to be. I definitely believe in divine intervention. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at this particular comment now. And so this comment says, let me see, let me close this one out now. So I'm trying to close some of the stuff that I had pulled up so that I can definitely move. Okay, so this is a teacher here. Her name is Jessica Matthews. She's 43. She teaches in Flint, Michigan. She's an English teacher. That's something close to my heart. And she's an English teacher at Carmen Ainsworth High School, teaching, and her teaching experience is 20 years. And she says, the massive rumbles of thunder surprised me from my sleep. With heart racing, I turn over and look at the time. It's only 4:30 a.m. I could try to sleep for another hour and a half, but my mind has other plans. As I sit up and look out the window, I gaze at the dark, mysterious sky. I'm exhausted, but I must start my day because it's time for me for the inevitable. I must report to the factory today. I begin a ritual that would soon be my daily routine. I take a hot shower, brush my teeth, put on chapstick, find clothing with many pockets, display makeup just on my eyes, the mask will cover the rest of my face. I investigate my survival bag to make sure I have the required items: hand sanitizers, mask, face wipes, and at least 2 bottles of water. As I zip my bag, the memory of last year's school bag comes to my mind, and I smile. Then it was filled with purple pens. Gifts for coworkers, and first day prizes for students. I always loved playing games with them on the first day, but that won't happen this year. Teaching will be online for the feasible future. I reach inside the medicine cabinet for the thermometer and take my temperature. It can't be over 100.4 degrees. Lastly, I complete the factory's required health assessment form online to prove I don't have the illness. My Good for the Soul soundtrack plays on my car radio, but I ignore the tunes. There is so much worry about entering the factory to enjoy the irony of Beyonce telling me to get in formation. After driving through the rain-drenched streets, I arrive and park in the front parking lot. Before entering the factory, I pause to watch other coworkers. With her head hanging low, one worker walks with a slight limp as she begins her path to the front door. Another coworker sits in her car. Her eyes are closed and her body is still. This meditation must be her moment of peace. Even if it is just for the brief moment, I do not interrupt her. Others lurch out of the dark shadows of cars and trucks, reaching their faces to veil their noses and mouths. The coverings also suppress the lips that usually express greetings of welcome back to the start of previous years. After meeting my new intern, Anna, who stands alone in the puddle-filled parking lot, we join the others. We trudge inside the factory to start this new line of work and existence in education. Nothing like it was before. The workers cannot meet as a whole group due to the illness. Half of the staff are sent to the cafeteria and half head to the auditorium. We can't even join as one to start the school year. There is no unity anymore. Anna and I are sent to the auditorium to receive further instruction. Once we enter, we hear the directions. Seat 5 seats apart, seat every other row, seat facing forward. There are slight sounds of squeaking seats as each worker follows the directions. There is limited talking. There are no happy conversations about children and escapes that happened this summer. The illness took many things. It also took away the usual noise and excitement that happens when we start another school year. Okay, I'm gonna skip a couple of paragraphs. And it says, there are no lights in the hallways. Figures of coworkers move like apparitions hunting abandoned buildings, each disappearing into the classroom. I panic at the drab ambiance of my working space. It makes me think of all the things that will not be there with me to start the school year. No students, no conversations, no lights. Will there be joy? Today there is only darkness and the soft click of my door closing to the start of the new school year of dystopian teaching. I shall teach children on screen from the factory. I whisper to myself, welcome back, teach. Okay, so just a teacher's recollection, and this right here has a lot. You said replay will be powerful, and thanks for the dialogue. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope that people get the chance to see it. I hope they really do. Okay, that's just one teacher's experience. I mean, this website here definitely has several experiences of a teacher. This was posted in the Wall Street Journal, so you could definitely find this as well. Teaching during the pandemic, I believe is what I searched to find this. And like I said, it has several teachers' a recollection of what they saw and what they think as teachers. So just something to keep. Nice variety of what these teachers thought and their experiences of how they look at this school year. And it is very different, sitting in the classroom all day, quiet rooms, the hallways are very clear. It's a new year. It's a new dawn, right? Thank you, Jade. I try. I'm not no celebrity, but I try to bring people some engaging mind conversations. Okay, so that's just that. I'm not gonna harp on that one too long because, of course, we've hit that one a few times, but I had it pulled up. I just hadn't got to it. What I do want to bring up, and I hope this doesn't cause anything. How do we feel about the where am I at? How do we feel about this topic? Okay, before I end us here, how do we feel about this topic? Okay, make sure y'all can see it. How do we feel about it, y'all? Gotta definitely have some type of opinion, some type of thought process. How do we feel about this? Or do we have any feelings about it? Okay. One thing I'm going to say, and this is not left, right, up, or down. I just feel that we have to think about the type of people we put in certain positions. I think that, and I'll just shrink her a little bit. I think that education has become a grounds to where people with opinions can come. You know, if you have money, if you have business, if you have influence, they'll come and take you and put you in a position that you don't necessarily know anything about. Just because you have a degree doesn't make you qualified. I'm gonna say that again. Just because you have a degree does not make you qualified. I think that a lot of times we, especially in the educational realms, we put people in place because of what they may have done somewhere else. But education is such a touchy subject. We have to sometimes make sure that we are putting people who require or who understands the requirements of the position that they're fulfilling, the role. And I think sometimes we don't see that happen enough. And it's a little frustrating because you have a lot of people that are qualified who have worked in the education system so long, who knows what's going on, who has a very in-depth view of what's happening, at least if not on a state level, on a national platform. And you put people in positions that they cannot or know nothing about, and they make life-changing decisions in an area that we need someone who's going to be a champion and not a pawn. And I'm just going to say it that way. I don't mean it in any disrespect, but we need someone who's going to champion for the education system, because our system is fragile. That's just my opinion. Our system is very fragile, and we have to make sure that we're putting someone in the place that they need to be. Definitely want to make sure of that. Okay. And that puts our children in harm's way like this. Yeah, it does. And it really sucks because she may know a lot. I don't know all of her background, and I never did try to find all of her background, but I know that she was not an educator previously, to my understanding. And it really sucks. And I think even in Texas, some of the people that's here in our that's over our TEA, our Texas Educators Association, which is a big part. Their affiliation to education was not there. There's no link to that. Okay, and we have to think about that sometimes. Yeah, it does. It really does. And so that's just something to kind of think and keep on the mind. I know that made a big issue that she chose to step down at the end of her term. Not for sure as to why. The article does go into some details. I did not, and I'm not going to, get into it or read it a lot. Let me see. So I'm not for sure what per se drove her to resign, but I know that as educators, I know a lot of people were very excited to hear about this. At least from my viewpoint that I heard, I didn't see a lot of no's or woes about that situation happening and her resignation. So that's just something to keep in mind. Let me see. Last but not least, I think I want to bring this topic, and then I'm gonna leave it up to the Q&A. I had so much I wanted to talk about. All right, so these are this will be my last thing, and then of course I'll leave the floor open for anything y'all may want to talk about. But this will be my last thing I'm going to share with y'all today, and this one is here. Okay. All right. So this one says 6 lessons learned about better teaching during the pandemic, and so I'm just going to go and hit them. These are 6 things that people have reported, have been learned during the pandemic time. And so it says educators have no choice but to be flexible these days, and that's a good thing. Man, if that's not the gospel truth, if I haven't learned anything else this year, I have definitely learned how to be flexible. Oh man, flexibility is something that you have truly had to have. You said that for that. I'm on parole. I was. Look, I understand it. Trust me, I understand it. So learning how to be flexible has definitely been one of the biggest takeaways this year. Targeted support and explicit instructions are key. So making sure there's clarity, that you are very targeted in what you want. Nothing can be generic. You got to give step-by-step instructions for our students so that everybody has a chance to understand it. Students may need extra guidance managing schedules and completing assignments. Man, the kids don't even know what day, if it's an A day or a B day. If they have class, they don't know the class times. That has been something I've seen. And also, I mean, no matter when you give that due date, you got to leave some leeway time in for them to turn in late, because I mean, there could be Wi-Fi issues, family issues. There's so much difference that could be happening. So definitely some takeaways to what I've seen. Okay. Also, we've seen project-based learning is still possible when done virtually. Now, I haven't been able to see that one in my own classroom because we haven't been able to do project learning. We're just trying to close the gap in learning, period. But in some classes, like maybe some of your non-core classes, those, that project-based learning has definitely been something that has been a possibility. Okay. And then students still need opportunity to speak up and collaborate. That is definitely true. You got to give them as much chance to speak up and collaborate. So those breakout rooms, those things that are being done, those are definitely things we've seen, be things that teachers have learned and takeaways from this year. And our sixth takeaway from this year is remembering that the challenges are helping build more independent learners. So regardless of how we feel on our side, I've started to see a lot of students learn to think independently for themselves, which may not have been there prior to the pandemic or even with the online learning. Those are just 6 takeaways that I know that we've seen happen during this year. So definitely we see that. You said bridging the gap. Yes. Open communication. Yes. Mr. Coop. What's up? Coop came in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Build independent learning. Yes. Those are things that we are learning to take away. Learning to take away from this year. Y'all, we've had, oh my God, we're almost an hour and a half in. Good. We've had so many topics. And again, I wanted to leave the floor open lastly to talk about any conversations or any takeaways y'all want to from this school year. So again, I'm going to, you can do it in the comment section, or if you want to come and share your voice, you don't have to have your camera on. Okay. I'm giving you the same rights I give my students, or you can come and, definitely you can come and get into the chat room and you can share your face and just give your takeaway from this pandemic. How are you feeling as a teacher, as a parent, as a student? What is your takeaway? And maybe some of your opinions. I put the link in the chat box. That's the StreamYard link. You click it, follow the directions, and it'll bring you into the background. And then once I see you, I will add you into the feed again. You don't have to have your camera on, but definitely the live conversation works a lot well than the chat, but either one works for me. But this is the last part of our show where you can give your own feedback. Maybe you want to join the conversation. You maybe have a takeaway, some questions, some food for thought. We've talked about the teacher perspective, the student perspective, very little on the parent perspective. And that's probably what we need the most is that parent perspective, especially the working parent, because I'm sure that hits totally different. I don't know that experience, so I can't speak on that. But from the student perspective, I can speak on from seeing it, and the teacher perspective, I can definitely speak on as well. So this is just our Q&A portion of the show, our Q&A portion. So if you have anything you want to add to the talk or the conversation or any of that, let me know. Okay, let me know. I'm interested in getting your feedback. I'm interested. All right. So we're at the Q&A portion. If you have any ideas, anything you want to think or say or talk about, let me know. You don't have to, but I'm definitely here for it. Close some of these windows in my background now. I had an arsenal of things pulled up. I didn't even touch everything I wanted to touch. I just kind of hit the things that I thought were the most important. I didn't want to repeat some stuff. So definitely got that. Okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Washington. You've been on here all night with me. I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. You said my takeaway is if more educators would create open dialogue more like this with parents. Thank you. And students, we would accomplish much more. Thanks again for providing this avenue. You know, I try. You know, all I can do is try. I'm trying. But I want people to be educated, and I want them to understand it from all perspectives as well. And me as an educator too, because as a teacher, it's easy to see that my teacher doesn't say what shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I do have to, you know, sometimes take it aback. You know, what could be happening and the challenges that our students are facing as well. So that's something that I want to do. So it's, you know, having these resources and these things to help back and support my statement as we teach our students to support their statement and their standpoint is very important as well. Very, very important. All right. Thank you, Ms. Washington, for that. All right. Any other comments or anybody else who might have dropped in or came in or left out? You know, I don't know what people be. They come in and come out. I know this is a touchy conversation, so I'm sure a lot of people probably ran from it. All right. Let's see. But looking at it towards the end, like I said, you know, this is hopefully will be enlightening for someone, and maybe it'll be shared. Maybe it will get to the right hands where it'll help somebody, and maybe they'll think. And, you know, we can continue these conversations down the road. I think it's a learning process and a building tool that we can definitely use to continue the communication as we go. And, you know, and just learning from each other. I think that's part of the growing process as an educator, a parent, or a student. It's a group. You know, my grandma used to always say it takes a village to raise a child. And I think we are that village. I think that we have to get back to that village mentality. I think we've gotten away from it, honestly. But, you know, just in my lifetime, I've seen where the village was there and the village is not there no more. But I think if we get that village mentality back, we definitely will be able to surpass whatever we thought we could do during the COVID and this technology change. Oh, thank you, Coop. Thank you. You know, I try to dare to be different. I don't know how much I'm going to be impactful, but I try. I try to do something different all the time. Y'all know me. I try to be different. All right. So if there's not any other Q or A or anything else y'all want to add to the discussion panel, or anything else any takeaways or anything else y'all have, then we can definitely go ahead and call it a night. I think we've had a great conversation, impactful with a lot of meaning. I'm hoping that if you watch the replay or catch the replay, that you definitely listen to it all the way through. Continue to add your own commentary to the video and the comment section. I would definitely appreciate that. You said, when will you do this again? I don't know. I don't know. I don't never know. I just kind of do it as the mood hits. And I don't always do educational topics. Okay. I think one of the last ones I did, we talked about relationships. You know, we try to do open forum. I just try to weigh in on different things. We weigh in on different stuff that happens. So I definitely try to talk about certain stuff. Some things I try to stray away from, like political talk, just because that's not my thing. But I don't know yet. But hopefully the next couple of days, I'll be thinking of my next topic that I want to discuss. So maybe the next couple of days, could be this weekend, could be during the middle of the week. I don't necessarily have a set day. I just do it as the mood hits. And tonight I just feel like having the discussion. It was on my heart. So I just led it with my heart. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you and your support. I need to get you your video. I keep forgetting to get it done. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'll be working on that. Okay. But yeah, so again, if you're watching the replay, make sure that you check it out, listen to it, share it with parents, share it with your college students, share it with other educators. Okay, make sure they know that, hey, this conversation can be had, and it can be had in a appropriate manner. We may not always agree on the outcome or on the how, but we know why we do it, and we need to figure out how to do it at a better level. Okay, at a better level. So I'm just saying, that's my takeaway from it. I need to send my order. Do you remember my numbers? I can send you a copy. I'll send you a copy of your invoice. I got you. Oh, thank you. Y'all know my head be in so many places, y'all. It's a lot. My head be in so many places. If y'all only knew. I told y'all I'm ADHD. I tried to keep it all up here somewhere. All right, y'all. It's been a wonderful night at the weigh-in. We have literally weighed in on several things. We've had some great, rich conversations. We really had a good conversation. I know that many were not able to stay on. It's a Saturday night. I know people are out about eating dinner. I know that y'all are probably out doing other stuff. But remember to stay COVID safe out there. Remember that this conversation did happen. So if you're catching the replay, really, really pay attention to it. Go ahead and share it out with your other educators, your parents, with your child maybe, and get their child's perspective on some of the topics that we discussed. Really get an understanding, because it's going to take a village to really bring this back to a full circle and get us back on track. Okay. I really, really hope that y'all enjoyed tonight's conversation. I thank each and every one of y'all for being on here and taking or partaking, or even just listening if you said nothing. I really appreciate you guys. Y'all make this work. Y'all make the world go around. And so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end us tonight. Thank y'all again. Thank you. And go back and really pay attention, y'all. We've hit some really, really hard topics, I think. And if you have any suggestions on things to talk about in the future, stuff that you would like us to weigh in on, please submit those. You can submit those to my Facebook page, or you can submit those in the comments section on the YouTube. But you can feel free to inbox me or find me. Let me know, y'all. I'm here to weigh in on topics. I'm not biased. I think from all perspectives. I will tell you what I think. But and definitely come on and be a part of our panel. I'm always welcome people to be on our live discussion and come in. You don't have to show your face. You can share your voice and let your opinions be heard. I think the more we talk, we can talk our way through and out of any situation. All right. I love you guys. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I'm signing out. Bye, guys.